answer all the questions in about 250 words each. 12.5 x 12 equals 150. 1. Many of the world's saline lakes are shrinking at alarming rates. Examine the causes and consequences. Also discuss significance of saline lakes to humans and other animals. Saline Lake is a landlocked body of water that has a concentration of salts, typically sodium chloride and other dissolved minerals, significantly higher than most lakes. These lakes account for 44% water volume and cover 23% of geographical area on Earth. But there has been reports of the shrinkage of these lakes at alarming rates due to reasons like 1. Climate change. It's leading to changes in the precipitation patterns, and the increase in temperature tends to increase evaporation from the lakes. X. Dead Sea. To surface flow diversion for the purposes like the agriculture, industrial use, etc. is resulting in decreased inflow in these lakes and hence shrinkage. X. The diversion of surface flow for agriculture resulted in the shrinkage of Owens Lake in California. Another example is classic case of Aral Sea, which has completely vanished since 1960s after the rivers that fed it were diverted by Soviet irrigation projects. 3. Groundwater pumping threatens many shallow salt lakes that are essentially surface windows of shallow water tables. X. Most of the shallow, permanent, and temporary salt lakes in central Mexico have already disappeared because of overpumping of groundwater for irrigation, and other deeper lakes have shrunk rapidly. For mining, it involves the construction of levee banks, causeways, and other structures that physically damage the structure of the lake. These structures impede the free surface movement of water across the bed of the lake. Apart from the physical disturbance, mining may have impacts on salt lakes by adding pollutants. X. Oil spills from mining rigs in the Caspian Sea. 5. Pollution. Inorganic plant nutrients appear not to be major pollutants in salt lakes, though exceptions occurred. Williams, 1981. For example, Farmington Bay of the Great Salt Lake has become eutrophic as a result of excess nutrients in runoff from urban development around Salt Lake City. In addition, soil erosion, increased sediment loads, and changes in runoff patterns can be the result of other catchment activities, including overgrazing by cattle and sheep, and excessive clearance of the natural vegetation, etc., are also contributing to the shrinkage of the saline lakes of world. But it has to be noted that these saline lakes are significant to humans as well as other animals, and their shrinkage is bound to have serious consequences. Lakes of world. But it has to be noted that these saline lakes are significant to humans as well as other. 1. Environmental significance and consequences. These lakes provide habitat for the different aquatic species. With their shrinkages, the biodiversity is also threatened. X. Water birds. The saline lakes provides environmental services like the aquifer recharge via water percolation, nutrient filtration, etc. With their shrinkage, there is threat of decreasing water tables that is vital for the human survival given the increasing demand for fresh water with consequent increase in population and the urbanization. Salt lakes develop as the termini of inland drainage basins where hydrological inputs and outputs are balanced. The shrinkage will disturb this hydrological balance. 2. Economic significance and consequences. The same lakes are home to many minerals like trigonite, calcite, gypsum, borax, and, more recently, lithium and uranium salts. With the shrinkage of saline lakes, the source for these minerals will also be lost. The fishing activities provide livelihood to the communities residing in the nearby areas. With the shrinkage of these lakes, their livelihood is also threatened. Many of these lakes have aesthetic values and provide recreational opportunities. Some of the saline lakes also provide for the cost-effective and environment-friendly shipping routes. 3. Sociological significance and consequences. Saline lakes in the arid and semi-arid areas provide effective barrier against the dust storm. The shrinkage of saline lakes is causing asthma, respiratory disease in the population residing in the region. For political consequences like water wars. X. Dead Sea, Syria and Israel. Thus the saline lakes are important natural assets with considerable aesthetic, cultural, economic, recreational, scientific, conservation and ecological values. Though the shrinkage is part of natural cycle, the worrying fact is that it has been accelerated by anthropological interventions. It is high time to redress this situation by raising awareness of the values of salt lakes, the nature of human threats and impacts on them, and their special management requirements. 2. Some communities in Northeast India have experienced persistent displacement due to ethnic violence. Discuss how these ethnic violences have affected development of Northeast India and steps necessary for successful repatriation and for long-term solution. The northeastern part of India is home to many ethnic tribes such as Naga, Bodo, Mizo, Garo, Chapman, Pei and Hagong, which has their own unique culture and customs. The conflict over limited resources has often led to violences. It has eventually become an institutionalized form of armed conflict that has hamstrung the development in the region in spite of the fact that the region is endowed with rich natural resources. 1. The law and order problem has dissuaded the investors from the region. As a result, there has been lack of development of industries in this region of the country. The rant of ethnic groups on the industries employing the immigrant migrants has driven out the investment from the region. 1. The law and order problem has dissuaded the investors and the ESM from FROF the region. As a result, there has been lack of development of industries in this region of the country. The rant of ethnic groups on the industries employing the item HES drive IVENOUT. 2. The region stands way below in comparison with the rest of India in socio-economic indicators. As per the 2001 census, the annual per capita income of NDR is 6,625 INR against the rest of India average of 10,254 INR. Nearly 34.28% of the population is below poverty line as compared to the national average of 26.1%. However, the NDR is a highly literate region. Except for Uttar Pradesh, all the other states have literacy rates about or above national average of 64.8%, which provides a good pool of educated human resources in the region. 3. The law and order problem has necessitated the large chunk of government resources to be spent on the maintenance of forces instead of on the development like education. 4. The zeal to save their traditions is at the root of many of these conflicts. So the social change is not easily accepted by the people, and it is a major hurdle in bringing the development in the region. As such, a development would likely to alter their traditions. This is also at the root of their aversion to abandon the subsistence farming like slash and burn agriculture. 5. The ethnic violence is often causing blockages makes the market access difficult, causing hardships for the marketing of produce. In addition, the ethnic violences also result in the damage to the public properties like roads, railways, etc., that in turn become drag on the developmental process. Adding to these, there is also the geographical difficulties like the swift streams, forbidding terrain, and the international conflicts that has dragged down the development in the region. All these factors have resulted in the migration of youth out of Northeast in search of better opportunities and livelihood. It is resulting in the challenges like changing demographics in the region, social instability in the region. Hence, there is need to ponder upon bringing the development to this region of nation. Some of the measures that can be undertaken are: 1. Infrastructure development of infrastructure facilities in the region X, roads, railways, etc., in order to ensure interconnectedness with the rest of the country. The Kala Dam project and Trilateral Highway are need to be expedited, as it will provide quick and alternative connectivity to the region. To poverty eradication. Eradication of poverty has the potential to bring stability in the region by dissuading youth from joining insurgent activities. It can be done by the region, which is heavily dependent on the agriculture sector, needs a green revolution to eradicate poverty and boost its economy. Such a green revolution must be adequately backed by financial institutions, marketing functionaries, and R&D. Given the vast swathe of tribal population,